In this video, you will see how a designer represents the focus area of several projects. You'll see how a designer uses a variety of drawing types in the design development of a focus area. You'll see how a designer creates a cohesive design development presentation and how a designer can improve their presentation to increase its clarity. Now, we're going to begin with this first project here. And this is actually not an entire design or a design for an entire residence. It's just a design for a kitchen project. And so you can see here the designer jumps right in to represent the focus area in this project by calling out the features required in this kitchen remodel and presenting a black and white floor plan on the lower left side, and then a rendered one with notes on the right hand side. Now, the next set of drawings that the designer presents in this focus area is a series of elevations. And these are so important to showcase the kind of the details and the heights and how all of these pieces and parts are going to come together in a vertical view. Now, if it were my presentation, the thing that I would do differently is I would get rid of this information at the bottom that's more repetitive and doesn't need to be shown so many times, and especially in a presentation like this. This is more appropriate to include in a set of construction documents, but for right now in a design presentation, it's not as necessary. I like that this includes the elevation tags here, but there isn't a plan that's easy to see that allows us to coordinate these elevations with a floor plan. And so if it were me, I would actually move this drawing down to the second page and use it as a key plan. And I would add elevation tags to it so that I could look at that floor plan and see the elevation tags and correlate the elevations that I'm seeing here to that plan. In doing so, I would free up some space on this presentation or this sheet of the presentation, because then I could move this information down here and I could incorporate a concept image and some information about the client more broadly to provide some context to my viewer and show that I understand a little bit more about what the client needs. Now, this might not have been required in the original presentation, but this is something that in a portfolio I would add. So as we look down here, you can see the final page of this presentation of the focus area incorporates specifications here and some examples of concept imagery, FF&E, materials, swatches, etc. There could be some more labeling added here, but for right now, it really shows a beautiful representation of the inspiration and kind of where the designer was coming from in creating this focus area. And overall, it really does represent a very cohesive design development presentation, because it shows a series of drawing types. We've got a rendered plan, we've got rendered elevations, and then we've got some information about the materials. Let's take a look at this one next. This is another project that's a residential project here, beautifully presented with information about the program and the course and the project name as well. And you can see here that certain parts of this floor plan are rendered, but the plan itself is not fully rendered. But it looks really, really beautiful and starts to convey kind of the style of the client. You can see here the drawing types used to represent the focus area of this project is a series of perspective drawings. Now, the labels here are so helpful to show the space that we're looking at. But if this were my presentation, I would bring in that really small key plan below and then show the camera views that we have learned about in creating our rendered floor plans. And that way, the designer, or pardon me, the viewer doesn't have to keep flipping back to the floor plan to perceive where in the space these perspective drawings are being shown from. So anytime you can create a key plan with that camera view, it's really, really helpful. But for now, this is showing perspective drawings, because perspective drawings are the best way to show a really big expanse of space, and this project is a little bit more expansive, and so that's why the designer selected those drawing types. You can see here the inclusion of the material swatches are coming in on this final part of the presentation to really start to fill in that information at the design development stage, where we start to reflect the concept in the materials and specifications. And you can see here, the designer has brought in the room name, some information about the inspiration behind the concept, as well as a combination of a rendering with the materials swatches and furniture specifications kind of wrapped around it. And this is an effective way as well to present information in a design presentation for a focus area, because you have the perspective, and then you have kind of zoomed in photos of things that are not necessarily as obvious in the perspective, but you can see bigger examples of them to the side. And so this works very, very well too. You can see another really nice rendering. Again, a camera view here would be, or a key plan that shows the camera view here would be effective. You certainly have room along the side here to bring in some more material swatches if necessary. Now you can see here, this is another page of the focus area presentation where we're looking even more deeply at the kitchen. You're seeing a combination of very interesting drawing types here. You're seeing the custom detail drawings in the family room ceiling, detail drawings of the hood. You're starting to see a little bit more descriptive information about these custom elements. Again, you're seeing elevations, section drawings, and this is really zooming in more on this focus area and creating drawings that are more detailed, right? Because as you're zooming into these focus areas and you're getting more and more refined on your design presentation, you're starting to think about how the parts and pieces are going to come together. And so that's why you're seeing more detailed drawing types here. Okay, our next project, this is our final one. We're again going to look at the focus area and how they're represented using a variety of drawing types in the design development of a focus area. And again, we'll see how this cohesive design development presentation is created. And of course, we're going to critique it a little bit as well. So we have the first project, or the first page here is the starting right off the bat with a rendered floor plan. Now, you have the concept information brought right along next to it. And it, of course, always depends on the designer's preference, but I tend to like to present the concept information right away. So putting it hierarchically, or in the hierarchy of information, making it the most important and the most prominent by putting it in the upper left-hand corner, because that's how we read and that's what we see first. In any case, you can see that the designer has taken screenshots of the old presentation, maybe that was submitted for the final grade, and then has kind of made these screenshots and reduced the size of them and place them within a portfolio. Now, this is an effective way of doing it, but you can see here, we do have some information that's starting to not be quite in sync with what we're actually seeing, as far as we've got this tag here for this custom paneled wall on the title block, which is not, of course, what we're seeing here. So a little bit more kind of conversion of that design development project into a portfolio presentation starts to necessitate that we adjust the drawing types and the labels just a little bit. But you can see here a beautifully rendered floor plan, and you can see this custom reception desk here. Now, the arrow and connection, or the leader line that connects this to this image, works really well. You could also use a camera view on it too. I would also see, if I was going to bring in a drawing type like this, I would also bring in a series of notes and material swatches to this drawing, just so that there's a little bit more information. So perhaps it wasn't required necessarily for the initial deliverable for this class, but using past or current skills to look at past work, I would infill information about the swatches and materials here. We also have the RCP plan works, which works really well here. It looks good, but when we present an RCP, we always want to incorporate the legend that indicates what the symbols represent. And also keep in mind that an RCP shows what you see when you lay on the floor and look up at the ceiling, because RCP stands for reflected ceiling plan. And so we don't see the furniture when we lay on the floor and look up. So the furniture here, it would look better if it was shown on halftone or was eliminated completely. We just saw the ceiling treatment. So you can see here, there's a combination of drawing types because this is a commercial project. The drawing types are a little bit different here because it shows, of course, the floor plan and the RCP, and then that focus area on the custom reception desk. Let's keep looking. Here you can see the focus area that the designer is showcasing is the reception and conference room. And so you can see the reception area. We've got a beautiful perspective because it's of a really large area. So we like to see what we call a major perspective as our drawing type here, which works really well. And we have the selections that were brought in down here for the materials and the FF&E below. And that's a beautiful way to showcase information about the focus area of the reception. And then coming over here, we've got the same information showing for the conference room. Some more labeling might be helpful, but right now the presentation, the orientation of these drawing types works beautifully. So you can see here across these three projects, we've got the kitchen, we've got the residential project, and we've got this small commercial project. You're seeing how the designer is representing the focus areas in each project by showcasing the spaces that express the concept the best and give this wow factor, but also based on the project type and the size of the project and what information is required. The designer is using a variety of drawing types in the design development of these focus areas. So it's a combination of floor plans, elevations and smaller projects, as we saw in the kitchen, beautifully rendered perspectives of large spaces on the projects that are a little bit larger in scale. The designer is also zooming in on detailed drawings for spaces that have a little bit more potential to reflect the design concept, as we saw in the kitchen for the residential project, where she went a little bit more detailed into the fireplace. And of course, in all of the drawings, bringing in a strong representation of the material swatches and FF&E. And you can see this is all designed to create a very cohesive design presentation that fits right to show the scope and concept for each project. But knowing, of course, that because these are in the design development phase, there's even more information that we can showcase. And of course, there's always room to improve a design presentation. And especially now that you have these past skills, you can start to bring those in and bring clarity to your design presentations.